Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about The Grinch. The idea of Illumination doing a Grinch movie, or anyone doing a Grinch movie, is always a bit of a turnoff to me. But I thought, well, maybe I'll give them a chance this time. Maybe, Secret Life of Pets wasn't so bad. This is by one of the directors of that. Maybe this will be like comfortably, kind of safely fine. And I went in with an open mind thinking they definitely found some new angle, something new and interesting to do with the Grinch and the Grinch story than just literally retell it again. And they literally just retell it again. They don't do anything really new with it. I would say the one thing they definitely do new is take out all the interesting things of Whoville. All like the cool inventions, the neat house things, like Who Hash is there. But it's kind of all filtered through the, let's take all that out and have a bunch of crap you could probably get at Target. So I guess the Whoville is more relatable to like kids nowadays. And all the music about the Grinch is done by a bunch of rappers. This movie is so poochy, it's totally in my face. I think the idea of a Grinch movie is a little silly because the book, apparently, if you just read it, is like 12 minutes long, which is why the TV special has a bunch of songs in it to fill out those 12 minutes and make a half-hour special. The idea that you then go, hey, what if we made that 90 minutes is really stupid. Also the fact that you're going against something by Chuck Jones, performed by Boris Karloff, and helped to be written by actual Dr. Seuss, not just signed off by Dr. Seuss's estate. And it's a special that airs fairly regularly. It's not like something we all forgot about that's sort of obscure and we're I don't know, it doesn't age that well. It's definitely of the things that Chuck Jones will be remembered for. We already had a live action version, which I didn't really understand that, but whatever, although I haven't seen that, and we'll review eventually. To do another animated one from a studio that artistically nobody respects doesn't really make any sense to me, other than they're clearly really down with the Seuss estate because they made the horrible Lorax movie, and this maybe not as bad because that just totally changed the ending to the Lorax in an incredibly offensive way. The Grinch isn't necessarily as offensive and as horrible as that, but it's not good in any stretch of the imagination. Everything it does to the Grinch character is pretty standard, hey, we're a new Hollywood reboot of something, let's really get into the backstory. I never really wanted the backstory of the Grinch. I mean, he's called the fucking Grinch. He has to be grinchy and grumpy. His pure existence, his name's not Harold, his name is the Grinch. What? I don't need a story about how he was in an orphanage and he was alone on Christmas. I understand the Grinch, or how the Grinch stole the Christmas, is semi-based and very influenced by A Christmas Carol, and stealing elements from that to flesh this out is I guess a little creative, but it's also boring because that's something we see in so many other Christmas specials. And Christmas specials very rarely nail, we have the spirit of Christmas, is an incredibly cheesy thing. But the original Grinch story and the special that Chuck Jones did, I would argue, actually does it incredibly successfully, much like Christmas Carol's story and the better versions of that. And to kind of do that in such a bland, very safe, suburban way is just going to come off a bad Hallmark movie or something. And the Grinch has virtually nothing special about it. Why have Benedict Cumberbatch do an American accent? I don't really get that when Boris Karloff did an English accent in the original special, and then you're going to redo it with an English guy doing an American accent. Why have Pharrell be the narrator when Pharrell has an amazing singing voice, and I love some of the stuff he's produced over the years, and I even like some of his film scores and film stuff he's been involved previously. He sounded too clean reading it. It sounded like his voice naturally auto-tuned itself or something. It just didn't have very much character to it. I thought that's something you should get a character actor to do, not a Pharrell Williams to do. He's just not really an actor, and you could kind of tell. One of the things that worked about the Karloff version is that it sounded like a guy reading a story to you, and it has this homey feel, and Pharrell just sounded like a celebrity reading it. It just didn't sound, it sounded really boring. I don't really get where we were going with a lot of that. It just felt same with the having rappers do things. It's okay, yeah, hip-hop's newer, and Illumination is more down with Pharrell, so we'll get Tyler, the Creator, who wow, dude, lost a lot of respect for you. And this film is done by kind of some typical Illumination people, directed by Yair Uriah Cheney, who also directed Secret Life of Pets, and also, and this is a trivia fact that I almost didn't get over to even do the review and made the whole video about this, is directed by Scott Mosier, who, if you're wondering who's Scott Mosier, he produced pretty much every Kevin Smith film except for like the horror ones. Scott Mosier, Kevin Smith producer, helped direct this, which is something that's one of the weirdest film things I was like not expecting. Because when I saw him at the theater, I thought, that's not that Scott Mosier. Clearly, like, I was just like, I didn't even look it up because I was like, come on, that's stupid. Like, they're not going to get the producer of Mallrats to make the Grinch movie. But that is what happened. Illumination, I think, continues to be so ready to be bought at Kmart. They rarely care about anything else. And this film is like no exception to that. This falls under their house style, but ends up definitely being on the bottom of their kind of filmography. I'd put this closer to the Minions movie or like the Lorax film in terms of quality. Anytime I kind of feel like they're doing better, like Secret Life of Pets or something, it just feels like they're so safe and sort of average in what they're doing. And there's no real artistry, or even like the idea of like you have the Grinch and you're doing this movie, do a different take or something. Like there's like no reason anyone would ever watch this over the Chuck Jones thing. And it doesn't really warrant that because it's not really enjoyable. It certainly references the book and musically references the original special. I think what it is like watching someone on like American Idol, which was like The Voice before, for you kids out there, watching someone from that cover like a Beatles song. And I watched that once and I was just shocked at how like even a song I loved could be destroyed in such a way that I would not love it under those conditions. And that's the Grinch. It's like, I love the Grinch story. I love the book. I watch the special every year, almost like my entire life. Like I love watching that special. I love almost everyone who worked on that special. I love everything they did for that special. It's amazing. This is like none of that done well. Like if you just got a Jeffrey Wright or a Paul Giamatti to do the narrator, I probably would have liked this film a lot more. But there's so many times where they could have somebody interesting. Like they have Angela Lansbury do a bit part. It has no personality to it. Like Illumination managed to take the Grinch and Dr. Seuss and take out all the funny, funky, weird stuff and make it just like this bland beigeness of artistic quality. It's like watching a void of boring blandness you know is not going to age well. This is like Shrek 3 or something. They are always operating at a Shrek 3 level and they never get beyond or past it. It's sort of like flatlining, but like they've never really ever had a heartbeat. Like their heart will never grow 3 times the size because they never want to achieve anything other than this. They clearly just care about making the most audience-friendly kind of movies, but in the worst popcorn movie way. These are cash grab movies by people who don't know anything other than to write cash grab kind of movies. And it's like, I'm sure lots of kids will see the Grinch. It's a brand. They just sort of plop down and put their name on it and we're like, cool, we're gonna make a lot of money off this stupid thing. They're not thinking about like really utilizing the book. They make cute references to it, but still like want to have kids in stupid hoodies and be like sort of modern and stupid crap like that. They don't think of a reason why they're doing any of it other than they feel like market testing wise they should. And there's no theory behind any of their choices other than that's what a big movie is supposed to have. That's one of the things I find so weird is you have so many interesting Dr. Seuss stories. If you did the Butter Battle book, that would be an awesome movie, particularly right now, and people could read into it. There is so much you could do, and you're just doing the Grinch again because it's recognizable. Like at least with the Lorax, that was offensive what you did to it, but that's at least something that hadn't really been made into a special that gets aired every fucking year. I know there had been things made of it, but it wasn't as omnipresent. You have so much to pick from, and this is what you do. The one that is the most recognizable for virtually no reason. And I think that speaks to where artistically Illumination is, which is pretty much nowhere. They're not really going for anything. They're just going for the obvious thing. I mean, hell, they made the fucking Minions. Should I be surprised? No. They are the worst. And the Grinch proves that they continue to be the worst. You know, they made Cindy Lou Who into, you know, this extreme girl who goes, you know, snow tubing and all this stuff. Like, they completely changed her character to be something wholly different. Now, frankly, if you're doing a feature-length film, you would have to, but like making her like way totally more extreme, like she could be in Rocket Power, is not exactly something I think anyone really wanted. And there's narrative threads that get solved in the credits, which is like so weird. It just looks like they went like, oh, we actually like didn't tie up that loose end there. Oh, we got credits, I guess. I don't think this film ever warranted and ever justified its existence. And this is a film that very much needed to sit there and explain to me, hey, why the fuck would you do this? And Illumination's answer is basically like, well, I mean, The Grinch is really recognizable, and, you know, we knew we could have a hit movie with it, and that's sort of like all that's offering here. It's really empty. I don't recommend you show it to your kids, because I think it shows you the soulless emptiness of Hollywood, and let's not break their hearts when they're young, huh? There's enough cool kids movies that have interesting style and interesting animation that you were not showing your kids. Just show them Over the Garden Wall. Show them anything else, but do not show them this. This film is evil. It represents soulless boringness, and it is not really showing you anything special. It is not about the spirit of Christmas. It is why the Grinch stole all that crap in the first place, is what this film represents. And you might say, hey, maybe that was the point. No, fuck you, it isn't. It is a bad movie. Illumination basically makes bland movies that are ready to be consumed by a really stupid public. I really don't like these movies. I don't get why they would be special at all, and I really wish that no one would go and see them anymore. I don't think they're good for society. I don't think they're good for much of anything, and hoping that maybe Illumination will actually, maybe have its heart grow 3 times this day, and maybe we'll actually see something interesting. But until then, we have The Grinch. So if you have seen The Grinch and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.